One interesting fact I came to know while reading this book was that it was banned in Kashmir. If you're reading his book, I would suggest you to read his discussion of improbability. Interestingly, this book also was banned by Catholic Church. Hey guys, welcome back. It's July already and we are halfway through 2026. And honestly, time just flew by. Over the past few months, I've been reading diverse collection of books from politics to feminism and psychology to science. So I thought this would be a good time to do a casual mid-year reading wrap-up on everything I have read this year so far. Don't worry, I've just read 5 books and I'm not one of those people who read hundreds of books a year. Before we get started, I want to thank you everyone who has been watching my videos, liking them and subscribing to my channel. I genuinely appreciate your support. It keeps me motivated to keep making these videos. The 5 books which I read were Azadi, But What Can I Do?, The Second Sex, Outgrowing God, and Bibliotherapy. Yeah, quite a wide range of selection. So let's get into it straight away. Azadi by Arundhati Roy. One interesting fact I came to know while reading this book was that it was banned in Kashmir, which all the more motivated me to read this book. What I liked about this book was Arundhati Roy's discussion of freedom. Rather than asking whether freedom is important, she asks much more fundamental question: who gets to define freedom? And she explores this through internet shutdown in Kashmir during abrogation of Article 370. She argues that democracy is not just about winning elections. It's about dissent, accountability, and whose voices get to be heard. Whether or not you agree with her idea, the book actually raised some thought-provoking questions. After reading Azadi and thinking about the scale and complexity of politics, I found myself asking a simple question, which is the title of the next book, But What Can I Do by Alastair Campbell. It's a question many of us probably have asked ourselves when we look at politics or social issues. Campbell argues that change does not happen by randomly posting on social media. It requires a clear objective, a strategy, and consistent action. My biggest takeaway from this book was that feeling powerless is understandable, but staying powerless is often a choice. The third book I read was The Second Sex by Simone de Beauvoir. Interestingly, this book also was banned by Catholic Church. One of the reasons to read the book. It's one of the foundational works of feminist philosophy, but the idea that stayed with me was her distinction of the self and the other. Beauvoir argues that throughout history, men came to be seen as the self by default, while women were often defined in relation to men, the other. What I found fascinating is that this idea extends far beyond gender. For example, you take politics, where governments can present themselves as the self, and whoever questions this government, they are portrayed as outsiders or anti-national, the other. So this idea gives you a different perspective to look at the society we live in. The fourth book I read was Outgrowing God by Richard Dawkins. It's the kind of a book which would have been deeply in controversy if it had been published a century ago. If you're reading his book, I would suggest you to read his discussion of improbability. It's very difficult to explain, but I'll try my best. He argues that just because something is incredibly unlikely, it does not mean that it could not happen naturally. Given enough time, small changes can accumulate into extraordinary complexity, which is how he explains evolution. If you found The God Delusion, another book written by him, a bit dense or academic, I would suggest this book because it's very easy to understand and written in simple language. After reading all these heavier books, I picked up Bibliotherapy, partly to keep my sanity. What intrigued me most was the simple idea: words can heal. On the surface, it sounds obvious, but I had never given a thought about it. When we go to a counselor or psychotherapist, what happens? We speak. Healing happens through conversation, through words. Bijal Shah takes the same idea and shows us how the literature also can help us to process emotions, understand ourselves, and also heal. It was a refreshing way to end this reading journey by reading this book. So that's all I wanted to share in this mid-year reading wrap-up. I hope you enjoyed hearing about these books as much as I enjoyed reading about them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, happy reading.